one. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so this is presentation number 5. We have one more. No, we have 2 more left. This is number 4. No, this is number 5. We have one more left after this, all right? One more. All right. Tomorrow, right? Tomorrow. Today is Saturday. Photoshop Trickery and FX is our title. Welcome to the PhotoCon Hawaii. I'm Stephen Burns, and I'm going to share a little bit more for those of you who are new here, who I am and why I'm here. If you go, I've given you all a flyer, and that flyer will access the chromolution.com site. Let me go and find my site here. There we go. So I'm an author. These are the books I've written. If you go to the books and DVD section, if these are the books I've written, and they're international. Every chapter is a complete tutorial on how to be creative, how to create something very cool from beginning to end. The way I'm teaching these workshops here at the PhotoCon Hawaii is that I'm teaching you how to be an artist, how to think on your feet and create on your feet. Okay? If you want to learn a 10,000 tips and tricks in Photoshop, you can always go to YouTube for that. Here you're going to learn how to really understand the program so that you can create intuitively in any direction that you want to move in. Okay? Now let me ask you guys this. What are you guys doing with your photography? Just shout it out. What are you doing with your photography? What are you shooting? Events, portraits, commercial, street photography. Somebody else? Personal portraits. Be specific. Sci-fi fantasy. Okay, somebody else? Landscape portraits. Okay. Okay, that kind of covers any macro photography here. No macro photography. Okay, some nature as well. Okay. I think the good thing about nature around here is that there's nothing here that's going to eat you besides what's in the water. Okay, so we got mountain lions and bears where I come from. So, all right, so let's go have some fun. Come and check out my website. I'll give you a quick little. Let's see. We'll go to a gallery here, for instance. Oh, my bandwidth is limited, exceeded. So what's happening is everybody is accessing my website, and on certain pages, let me see. What was that? Evidently. I've already texted my webmaster to tell him to take a look into this, so that it'll be coming back pretty soon. So just take a look at it on your time. There's one right there. Okay. This is all done. Oops, that was an accident. This is all done digitally through Photoshop. A combination of digital painting, a combination of digital compositing. Okay. Here is another example. Oh, see, that one's kind of like down. See if I do this one here. There we go. Get that out of the way. Okay. Now let me take you, but you can also go to Behance. Now, if you have Adobe's products, you're going to have access to Behance. Behance is Facebook for artists. And here, this section, behance.net/Stephen Burns. Okay. And you get to see the variety of things that I do. I'm going to show you some of the photography. Then I'm going to show you some of the illustrations that I do. Here are examples. Let's click on it of what we do on my Death Valley workshop. The Death Valley workshop is coming up April 10th through the 13th. I'm taking you to some of the iconic locations at the right time of lighting. On the Death Valley trip is going to be that lake that just recently formed that hasn't been there since the early 2000s. You heard about that? Lake Manly is now there. So this is the opportune time to go with me on the workshop because that's on the list. This shot is taken in it's a place called the Racetrack. It's where the moving rocks are located. When you're getting rains in Death Valley, the cloud formations are extremely dynamic. In fact, I find them more dynamic than the ones in Hawaii. This is where Lake Manly is, the salt flats. The salt flats are no longer there because they're covered up with water right now. So these skeins are about 3 inches thick and about 6 inches high, and they're as hard as porcelain, and it's all salt, and they're going for miles. It's very interesting. This is another shot of the racetrack where the moving rocks are located. A very majestic location. Okay, so all right. Then I'm going to show you just very quick. You can come here and check this out on your own, but I'll show you one last little area. Let's get out of here and let's go over to my illustrations. This is kind of fun. This is what I use for my books. Is taking a variety of photographic images, 3D, digital painting, and pulling it all together. That's what I've been sharing this entire week. It's kind of giving you a step-by-step progress as to how you should be thinking as an artist. Okay, this is all done in Photoshop. All done in Photoshop. Okay, so your imagination is truly the limit. And what we're going to do, and we're going to create something today. And we're going to use photographic information to create a completely different illustrative concept. You probably
That building from yesterday.
That's right. There's the building from yesterday, but integrated in a different way, right? So I'm also a 3D artist. I teach the Blender classes on a college level. I built the starship in Blender and brought it into Photoshop and created the rest. All right. Okay. You guys can come and check that out on your own. I also teach over at Studio Arts in Los Angeles. It's a fabulous training center. If you want to learn, what the industry is looking for in After Effects artists and Premiere Pro artists, compositing, Photoshop, 3D, great place to kind of take a class from. So definitely check that out. All right, let's go into Photoshop. Let's go have some fun. We got an hour and a half together, and we're going to create something kind of fun. So I love this idea of this ship sitting on the water. I want to create something with this ship on the water, but something different. And I think I'm going to start with this here. And let's open up in Photoshop. I'm in Bridge. So Bridge allows you to preview everything you have on your system. So I'm going to hit the Enter key. That's going to open that image up in Photoshop. Now, you guys are going to start thinking like painters, in that even though we have photographic information, we don't really care about the photographic information that we have there. We only care about using it for part of the process. So one of the things I want to do is I think I want to utilize this rock here. I want to create this ship in the water, but I want to create the rocky landscape that's going to be around it. So the key to mastering Photoshop is mastering section. That's what I'm teaching. That's the first thing you learn in my beginning level Photoshop at the top of the page. I think it's the top of the page. Yeah, top of the page. It's the beginning Photoshop class. All of these classes are 5-week classes, with the exception of the photography classes. They're 5 weeks. Each class is recorded. So I want to grab this here. And I also want to change the format, right? I'm not liking the format. I want the format to be a little bit longer than what I have here. So first of all, I'm going to go grab the rock. Right up here are tools on my tools bar. A lot of people utilize their toolbar this way. I don't like this. It's harder to track things. So I hit the little double arrow button on the top left-hand side to truncate it down to 2 levels, 2 rows. That way I can quickly visually track my tools. Second on the right hand side is this thing called Object Selection Tool. What you learned in my beginning class, that little white triangle in the bottom right hand corner denotes that there's more stuff in there somewhere. I want the Quick Selection Tool. Why? Because the Quick Selection Tool is going to target shapes. So if I click and drag like a paintbrush, it grabbed that shape pretty effectively right there. That's the shape I want to start with. How do I get it out of here and put it into its own layer? Say it out loud so everybody can hear you. Yeah, Command or Control J, which means duplicate what's inside your selection. The key to mastering Photoshop is mastering your selections. Selections and masks are exactly the same thing. So if I hit Command J, making sure I'm in the right layer, it places right there. If I turn off the bottom layer, it places it in its own layer. Why are layers important? Because if we go back before the days of digital, let's see how did they used to do layers then? For example, you have a photograph that's going to be featured on the front of Time magazine, right? Your photograph is precious to you, so you can't have Time magazine graphic designers airbrushing effects on it. So what they do is take your photograph, they lay a clear sheet of acetate on top of it, and airbrush the red Time magazine border. They put another sheet of acetate on top of that, and then place on the Time magazine logo, a third sheet of clear acetate to put on the text of what's going to be featured in that month's issue. In registration, they photograph it with a color slide, and they make color separations to make their magazine. That is what layers are. That's it. Now, if I want to move anything around in Photoshop, I want the Move tool. It's this tool right here, right up here on the top left-hand side. The shortcut key is V. If you click and hold on it, it's right there on the right-hand side. If you learn a new shortcut, use it every time or you will forget. And it's going to make your life so much faster. So I'm going to use the Move tool, and now I can move this around. Why? Because that layer is selected. All right, let's do some more. I want a different water down here to kind of start building out my concept. I want to make this longer, right? So anybody want to give me ideas on how to make this whole composition longer?
Crop.
Excellent, thank you. Aren't we fast? He's been here to other classes, so you guys have to be on your toes if I ask a question, because he's going to try to beat you at it. Oh, see, now he's trying to flatter me too. All right, here we go. What's the shortcut for the crop tool? Excellent, C. C key on the keyboard, grab the corner, and I want to elongate it like that. Then I'm going to hit enter to make my changes. There we go. So I've just changed my composition. For those who are taking notes, you don't need to. I'm recording everything. So just watch and pay attention. All right, now I want a different water. Let's go back to Bridge. File menu, Browse and Bridge, or Control-Alt-O. Okay, so if I tap that, there's Bridge. Let's go get a different water. I'm gonna go down over here and see what I've got. See if I have, yeah, this will work. Hitting the space bar magnifies the image. I'm liking this water right down here in the bottom. I think I'll use that instead. Okay, I'm gonna hit the space bar again to go back to this, and then all I'm gonna do is this. I'm going to, oh, how could I do this? But I tell you what, we'll just double click it. We'll just hit the enter key and open it up in Photoshop. There we go. Now, the key to mastering Photoshop is mastering selections. I just want that water. Rectangular selection, top right-hand corner. Grab it. I'm going to go right down here, grab all this water right about there. Photoshop doesn't know what, when, where, or how you as an artist want to do anything. That is why you need selections to tell Photoshop what when, where, and how. In this case, the what is the water, the where is this narrow long strip, and the how is Control C for copy. Come back over here and hit Control V for paste. And now the water's pasted in. And Photoshop automatically pasted it into its own layer right here. Okay, it's right there. I want to enlarge this. Hit the V key, and I want to reposition this. V key for the move tool. Put it right down here in the corner like so. Then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to alter it into something called a smart object. What the smart object does is it makes all of your imagery non-destructive. So I can stretch them and reduce them and mess around without them losing any of the high quality information. Come join us. And grab a chair in the back and come and you can bring it right down the middle here and sit up front if you like. Well, that's where the bed people sit. So if you have, now this gentleman needs to leave early, so you have a seat right here in front in the middle. This gentleman right here. Stand up, stand up. Oh, you're not leaving now. Oh, okay, all right. Go. Hey, come join us. Grab a chair and bring it up right down the middle here. All right, everybody's walking in. Oh, it's another full house again. We've had nothing but full house attendance here at the Photoshop workshops. It's good to see. That means people are serious about taking their photography to the next level. Ansel Adams, which I assume most of us knew Ansel Adams is. The last class, the young people had no idea who he was. Most of his vision was realized in the darkroom during post-processing techniques. The photographing, the composing of the shot is only half the battle. Same thing we're doing here. We're going to compose the shot here. There's my water, right? There's the water. That's the layer selected. And what I want to do is I want to alter this into a smart object. Simple. Go to the right-hand side of the layer. There's several different ways to get smart objects. I'm not going to talk about them all. I want to talk about the most direct way and fastest way for you to do this because time is money. Bring your cursor over here to the right-hand side of the layer. Right-click, go down, convert to smart object. Done. How do we know it's a smart object, guys? That's right, the little thing. Great, the sample in the corner. That's a smart object. So now I'm going to move it around, and then I'm going to hit a shortcut key for resizing called free transform. Does anybody remember what that is? That's right, Command T. All right, it's Command or Control T if you Control on a PC, Command on a Mac. If I hold the Shift key down, I can stretch it on over like this. And there's where my water. I might want to stretch it up a little bit too and do something like that. Okay, and hit Enter. Okay, let's turn off this background back here, and we have this thing. Let's go have some fun. I haven't even done it yet.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I am right. All right, so now we're going to take this guy. We're going to make it a smart object because I'm going to play around with that as well. So right click on the right hand side of the layer and go down to convert to smart object right down here in the bottom. Now it has the same symbol so I can play with it. So let's go play. Let's go take this Control T for free transform, make it big like that. We're gonna start building some type of a rock wall around it. If I place my mouse outside and get a little bit of a rotation like this, okay? And I want to rotate it more this way. Something like this. Maybe what I'll do is I'll stretch it out a little bit like that. That I think can work. All right, so, okay, I think this will work here. So what I'm going to do next, and enter on the keyboard. I want this on top of the water. I want this to look like it's coming out of the water. Right now, the water is on top of it. It's right here in this layer. It's sitting on top of it. I need this to look like it's coming out of the water. So I'm going to take the rock, the layer, and drag it and place it right above. See the little blue line? Once it's highlighted there, you drop it. I think I'll take the rock, select it, and just push it down a little more so it's, I think I'm going to angle it a little bit better too. So at Command T, something like that. Maybe something that can work. Okay. I think I'll take it to here. Okay, that'll work. Next thing is I want to start bringing in the sky. It's going to be an overcast, super foggy, hazy. No, the fog. Guess you remember the movie The Fog? That was a cool movie. They had a sequel. They had The Fog 2, right? Didn't they do a Fog 2?
Stephen King.
Stephen King, yeah.
And that's what Washington's favorite.
Washington State, depressing, huh? Okay. That's why you should come to San Diego. It's always sunny. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm going to put in a sky underneath all of this. So I'm going to drop a layer underneath the water. All right. So I'm going to target the background because whatever I bring in is going to automatically jump to the top. All right. And I want the sky to be directly beneath the water. So right down here in the middle, look at the bottom, your little icons in the bottom of your layer. You have a black and white half circle. These are called adjustment layers. And I'm going to tell an adjustment layer to give me a solid color. I want that solid color to be white. Select it, and by default, it's the last color I was playing around with earlier. So I'll come over here and I'll grab white like this. Maybe I'll give it a little bit of yellow like that, just a little bit, just to warm it up, just slightly like so. Okay, there's her sky, or at least her background, initial background. All right, so we're using all the rules of perspective, all the rules of how depth works in real life to make this happen. So I want this rock to look like it's coming out of the water. So I'm going to grab a brush, hit the B key for the brush, or it's going to be this fifth icon on the left-hand side, right? I'm using that tool. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little closer. Fill the screen with this. And if I right click, I made a little specialized brush right there. So if you want to know how to learn how to make the brush, you'll watch the previous video that I did yesterday on this. So I'm going to select this brush. This brush is giving me this interesting looking little brush that's giving you these textured edges, and I can rotate it. And the reason I have the texture edges, you'll find out why. Now, I've got this contextual menu right down here. That's new in the latest versions of Photoshop. It's annoying. I want it out of the way. Hit the three little dots and then say hide the bar and get it out of the way for good. If I want it back, all of your panels, all of those contextual menu options are under the window menu right there. Like the layers is there, and right down here is the contextual taskbar. You can see it third from the bottom. Okay, right there. If you ever want to get it back. All right, I don't want it back, so I'm going to leave it alone. Now,
how are you turning the brush?
All right, so the question is, how am I turning the brush? I forgot to mention this. See right up here, I'm gonna hold it straight up in the air. This is a Wacom pad and stylus. I'm using a Wacom pen and stylus, and I have it designated to rotate the pen. I can do that in Photoshop by going right. If the brush is selected, I've got this is my options panel for all of my tools. The fourth icon from the left, if I hit it, this is where I set the rotation under the shape dynamics, and then over to the right under the angle I have for the control pin tilt. All right, you will learn this in the intermediate Photoshop with the Wacom tablet class. If you already have a basics of Photoshop under your belt and you want to progress your skill sets, you're going to do the intermediate class. That's where the welcome tablet is talked about. You learn how to customize it and use it in your workflow. Okay. All right. Now let's go back to where we were working. Let's go back to the layer that I'm interested in. That's going to be this large rock. And I want this large rock to look like it's coming out of the water. So I'm going to give it what's called a layer mask because I want to hide certain aspects of the rock and I want to show certain aspects of the rock. Come down the bottom, third icon from the left. If I click it, it puts a white, rectangular icon to the right side of it. That's your mask. That white mask is saying it's revealing everything it's associated with. If I paint with black, it means it's going to take it away. So right over here, look at my bar. The shortcut for switching the foreground and background color is the X key on the keyboard. Hit the X, now it goes to black. Now I can rotate my brush, right? But I'm going to just take it and just start to paint things out, right? So make sure that's here. That's in lighten mode. I'm going to go to normal. I'm going to make sure I'm in normal for the brush. And I'm going to start to paint it out. Maybe if I think I probably went too much. I want to bring it down a little bit. Hit the X key to go to white. Go back to here, go to white. There we go. And I can bring it back a little bit. So I can bring it back in such a way that this is probably going to come out a little bit. And then I want this to look like it's coming in. And probably have this come out like this. And I'm probably going to want this to come back in and probably have this coming out a little bit, kind of giving a feeling it's kind of going back, giving it some depth. All right, and if I hit the X key to go to black, I can kind of edge it off at the base. Is that making sense a little bit? Okay, all right, here we go. Now, that's one. Okay, so next, I want to add a repetition of these going all the way to the back. I'm going to go to the mask here. Watch this. I'm going to disconnect the mask. That little symbol right there it connects the two together. So if I move one, the other one moves. But I can go disconnect the mask, hit the V key for the move tool, and then I can slide the mask anywhere I want it. So if I want to take it more like there, okay, we'll go with that. Now, duplicate the layer, Command J. He's gone. For the gentleman who want to take his seat. All right, thank you for coming. We got one more class tomorrow. It's at 10 o'clock, right? It's a 2-hour one tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Are you welcome? Okay, here we go. I've duplicated it again. I'm going to go to the one right behind it, and I'm also going to take the mask and fill it all with white because I want to see everything. So the shortcut for filling with the background color is Control Backspace. The shortcut for filling with the foreground color is Alt or Option Backspace. So I'm going to fill with white, then clear up the mask to white, go to the rock for this one, and I'm going to move it out like so. I want a different look for this rock. So maybe I think what I'll do is I'm going to hit Command T and find a different area. Maybe we'll bring it, I know I may have to bring it longer, right? So maybe I'll just take this and just stretch it like that. Rotate it like this. Bring it down, give it a little bit of a different look. I'm liking this already. Take it right about there. I think that's going to work. And we're just playing and experimenting. I want the top of this. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start sculpting this rock out. We're going to sculpt it by editing the mask. I have my brush. Hit the B key for the brush. I've got my brush. It's kind of moving in closer so we can see what we're doing. And this is going to get fun. And I'm going to start sculpting out. Maybe what I'll do is I'll push this on in like so. That's coming down, and I'm going to start pushing that away. You see why I chose this brush? See those jaggedy edges on that brush? It matches the jaggedy edges of the rock. So I'm paying attention to detail always. So now I'm going to say, okay, maybe this area I'll probably push in like this. Maybe we'll bring it on up, and maybe we'll just kind of bring it straight up and angle it like that. Maybe that's going to be this one here, okay? I'll get in a little bit closer, make the brush a little bit smaller, and just clean up these edges real quick. Okay. And I'm just rotating that brush. See, the value of rotating is I can move quicker, faster. All right, so that's going to be another little aspect of the rock. Now, there's going to be a hazy, foggy scene, right? So if I'm going to use the effect that this other rock back here, or this other structure, is going to show depth, what do I need to do?
Darken it.
He says darken it.
Blur it.
Blur it, somebody else. Add a little blue, lighten. Okay, so the fog is going to take on what color? White. Watch this. This is the layer we want, off and on. Now, before I do so, let me do one last little thing. I think this will make a lot more sense. Hit my brush key. I'm going to edit the mask for this one. And again, I want you to give a good sense that it's going back into the background. So we have to honor perspective and get it moving further back into the background like so, like that. Okay. Now, once it's there, watch. Double click on the far right hand side of the layer. You get this layer styles panel. These are effects over here. One of the effects I'm going to pay attention to is going to be the color overlay. I want this to simulate the haze going back further into the haze. If this colorful, texturous rock goes back further into haze, what's happening visually? It's what? But what happens visually as it goes further back into the fog?
Desaturates.
Desaturates. And
Less like sharp.
that's right, less sharp, less contrast, right? And it takes on the color of what? The fog. I don't ask trick questions. Okay. So here we go. Color overlay. Select it. It's playing around with another color I had earlier. So I'm going to select this little color swatch, bring the eyedropper over here, and tag the actual background. Now, I might want to play with the intensity of that. So maybe I'll bring it something like this, as it's going a little bit into the background, but we're going to make more where they really go in the background. Okay, so for now, I'm going to click OK, bring it back. Okay, we're starting to get a little feeling of depth going on here. Almost. We're getting there. We're not done yet. So we're going to use this background again, the one right behind it. We're going to duplicate it. Command J. Okay. Now I will take the one from the far back. In fact, we can put this all into a layer group so we can stay organized. So if I select all of these stones here for the stone ledge, I can hit Control G for group. And that means everything is grouped together in one. It's a way of just keeping very, very organized. So I will double click it and we'll call this one Stone Ledges. Then I'll open it back up and we'll go back to this one back here that I selected. So I'm going to hit the V key for the move tool, and I'm going to move the next one back over to here, like so. And I need to get rid of the current mask. So select the mask and fill with white. Okay, there we go. So now we're seeing the entire piece. I'm going to edit this piece so that we're going to get a different looking shape. So let's go hit my brush. Let's go back to the mask. We're going to paint with black, and let's go ahead and push this further back. See, that's going to go further back, which means I'm going to have to do something with the water. I got to take the water and I'm going to bring that up. Hit the V key for the move tool, Command or Control T. Oops, I want to make sure the water is selected and it's unlinked from the mask. There, that makes a difference. Command T. Oops, I got the wrong. I'm not selecting the water. That's the water. Control T, and hold the Shift key and pull that up like so. Right. All right. Let's change this other one here. Go back to the mask. Hit the B key for the brush. Paint it with black. Okay, how do I want this to look? Maybe I'll kind of pull these on in like this, like so. Maybe I think I'll probably, edge it off right about there. Maybe we'll do something like this. Take it away from there. Okay, maybe let's see what we got here. If I hit the Shift key and click on the mask, it will take away the mask temporarily. Shift key and click Shift again on the mask, it brings back the mask to show you what's happening. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and just continue to edit the mask. Maybe we'll give this a little bit of a different something like this. And just play with this a little bit. All right, now.
Steve, did you lose the second rock? Where's that?
If I turn that one off, the second rock's right there, never been touched. The reason you're not visually picking it up is because we haven't established better depth yet. So in other words, we get in close, these are the same tonality, right? They shouldn't be. And we're going to change that next. Okay. All right, here we go. So I might just put something in here like this just to give it a little different look, kind of like maybe something like that. That could work. Maybe a little something in here. Yeah, that works. Okay. All right, now we're going to go to this one, go to the color overlay, because we duplicated the previous layer, and we're going to take the color overlay and we're going to go stronger. Something like that. Okay. It's all going to make sense. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to do one more. In fact, I'm going to go back to this first one. I'm going to go back up to the very top. I will duplicate that one, Command J. We will take that and put it underneath all the rest. V key for the move tool. Move it on over out to here like that. I think that works. Something like this. Okay. Now I'm going to go edit this very quickly. So I'm going to go to the mask, B key for the brush, pull this out of the way. This is going to come up further than the other one, further than that next one, right about there. See? It's giving a sense that you're walking back into the background. And at this point, I really want to take down, really want to make this very, very hazy. So if I now go to this one, double click on the right hand side, go to my color overlay there, and then give it a little more like that. All right, so we're making progress. I might want to bring up this second one up just a little bit more, and I'm just being picky. So if I just click that off and on, that's the one I want. Go to the color overlay, and then maybe give it a sense of right there. Bring it back just a little bit. I like that there, but it's too close to the one next to it. So now we go to the next one and make it a little bit stronger. Go back to the color overlay and go to my opacity and make it a little bit stronger, but not as strong as this one. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, so we got a little bit of haze coming through. I think that's coming from this layer here. I mean, was that an accident? No, it's not. It's probably coming from this layer. Let's go find out what layer it's coming from. We just click the eyeball. There it is. That layer right there. Go to the mask. Paint with black. Get it out of there. Okay, there's your water. All right. I think I want a little bit more water down here. So I'm going to take the crop tool, extend it down a little bit more like that. Give me some room to move, and then we're going to go back to our water. There, Command T, and pull it on down. So I've got a mask issue here. So we're going to go find the mask that's actually blocking my visuals out. So there's one there. So I'm going to select it. B key for the move tool. Paint it with black. That's one. Let's go find out where the other one is. It's probably that one there. So I'm going to do all of them. So what I'm going to do is this. Select it with this tool. All like this. I think with the exception of that top one, I'm going to be safe on this. So I'm going to go right about there. Okay. All right. Go to here. Alt backspace fill with the. All right. Let me turn this off. The reason we're getting that red, which drives me nuts, is this eyeball is on for that mask. So turn it off. Go back to here. There we go. And I'm going to go turn that off and on. I'm going to find out. There we go. That's what's causing that there, right there. Done. Okay. All right. Let's bring it on in. And let's start adding a little bit of low-level ground fog here. We're going to have fog coming in between each of the ones, and we need a low-level ground fog. I've created a brush for that. I'm also going to have to put this on its own layer. So if I add another layer at the very top, just a blank layer, hit the B key for the brush, right click. I've made a brush layer right here. Right there, it's not a brush layer. I added a brush layer, yes, but I added a fog brush or a smoke brush. What that looks like is this here. I've applied shape dynamics. I've applied scattering to it. I went to transfer and allow pressure sensitivity utilizing my Wacom pen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly touch this. I'm going to make it about so big, and I'm going to lightly touch. Oops, now look, I've got the foreground color on because I'm not paying attention. So I'm going to undo that, hit the X key to go to white, and just gently start adding the low-level fog in here. Okay, I'll make it a little bit larger and go very light as the fog dissipates at the top. We're starting to add it on in there. Add a little bit more of the larger at the bottom. Now, I'm going to add another layer. on top of that, I'm going to alter that layer to a blend mode of lighten, which means the effects I'm going to paint now will affect only the areas that are bright faster. So I can make the brush smaller because I want this to be a stronger low-level fog. Bringing it across right down to here. Bringing a lower level fog, it's going to start to blend up that, no, it's going to start to take out that horizon line. The horizon line is going to be hiding in with the fog, make it a little bit smaller as we go more lower level, the fog comes across and it's coming right on across here, like so. Okay, now we can add an additional layer, give it again well, I guess we can give it a screen, which is going to brighten up the fog a little bit. Let's go ahead and pull it this way, and I'm going to enlarge the brush and watch very gently and very softly, right? It starts to add a feeling. Now, we're missing some of the fog that's going to be seeping in between the rocks. And this is where it gets fun. So let's start with the very first rock first, this one right here. If I turn that one off and on, that's the one that I want. Actually, it's not the one that I want right now. What I want is the one right behind it, and I'm going to tell you why. Because that's the one we're going to paint on, but we're going to use the effects of painting onto it utilizing a separate layer. If I add a separate layer right above it, I can tell Photoshop to restrict all the painting contents to the pixel information of the layer that's beneath it via a clipping mask. Now this is how it works. Let me get a stronger color here. Let's get blue. If I start to paint on this layer, it paints over everything, right? If I hold the Alt key down, put my mouse in between that layer and the one beneath it, and click it, it restricts it only to that shape underneath it. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Command A, select all, hit Delete key. Now I'm going to do my work. Make sure you hit the D key, hit the X key to go to white, and I am going to gently paint so it looks like fog is going to be coming in between those two, like that, and it's coming down and spilling onto the, is that making sense? And I'm going to do the same thing to the next one. Go to the next one here, to there, give it a brand new layer. See, I'm not painting on the rock. This gives me total control, non-destructive control. Alt click between those two, right? Now watch what happens here. Pull it, the fog's coming out, seeping out. There you go. Just gently do it, gently do it. Let it fall on the ground right about there. See what's happening? It's getting a stronger sense. Now I'm going to do one more. We got one more left. Add another blank layer, and I'm going to click it. And of course, I'm going to be real gentle with this one because this was almost gone anyway. See? You can go to the bottom like so. Okay, this one here, right in the middle, I might want to give a little more fog spilled over. So if I go before, let's go find the fog that I want, which is going to be this one right there. Go find a layer right above it, and I think I'm going to pull this a little bit more like that. There we go. All right, maybe go to the very top layer again and probably add another little subtle little adjustment of fog right over all that. There we go. Especially in here. Get that little level going in there. Okay. All right, now we're gonna add our leading element here, which is the ship. So I'm gonna Command Shift S because if I don't want to lose this. Okay, save it. Go. Let's go get the ship. Control Alt 0. I mean O, not 0, but O. And let me go and find my boat right there. Double click it. Okay. Hit the V key for the move tool. I'm just going to just disconnect it from the tab here so I can take it and drag it right on in. Okay, it's done. I've already separated the ship out from the background. Okay, Command or Control 0 will pop the whole thing in full frame. You can see here I've got some pixel elements that's still part of that ship. No big deal. Hit the E key for the eraser tool. I still have my brush and just erase it away. Like so. Bring it across. And get rid of the rest of this here. All done. And get rid of all this. Not that we're going to see that anyway. Okay.
You're gonna flip that horizontal so it's
Oh my gosh, somebody's paying attention. Yes, we're going to flip this horizontal. Why? Why are we going to flip it horizontal?
not coming from the rocks.
Yeah, because you want it coming out at us, right? It's part of the composition. Get the eye leading into the scene, right? So go to my edit menu, transform, flip horizontal. Boom. That works. Okay, so what I can do is we need to reduce this size. It's too big. It's too big. I'm thinking, yeah, that's probably good. Bring it here. Command T. Hold the Alt key, resize toward the center. We're going to say something like that. Bring it down near the horizon line. Maybe bring it just slightly up. Okay, that works. All right, so this needs to fit into the fog, right? I don't know, we got a lot of fog layers right here. Let's just drop it down beneath it. Boom, there's one. Oh, we got another one. Boop, there's another one. Simplify it, don't overcomplicate it. That's working. We got another one. Let me see what that looks like. Drop it down below that one. There we go. And we can just play around with the boat, right? Just kind of position it where we want it to, how we feel it's gonna work best. Okay, so we need to get a little bit of a lens flare coming through here. I want to make sure we're okay on time. We're done at 1, right? Oh, cool. We got time. We got plenty of time. Okay, let's relax and take a look at this.
Press for a dragon.
We're done with dragons.
Dragons are never done.
I guess we're never done. You have to admit they are fun, aren't they? Especially when dragons they're fire breathing. Unlike that one stupid Godzilla movie they made with it didn't blow fire out. That one, no, with Matthew Broderick in it. That was not Godzilla. Okay, here we go. Lens flare. A little bit of a yellowish light coming through here. So we need another layer. I'm gonna hit Control S to save this. This rock here, probably in the foreground, probably a little bit too sharp, you guys think? Probably could use some haze going on up there. I was just gonna use this top one there. Hit our brush, right click, let's go get our smoke brush is selected. And I think what we'll do is I'll just make this a little larger and just a very light. Yeah, get it in there, see? See, it's starting to blend in better, isn't it? Yes.
What's your shortcut to resize your brush?
All right. So the shortcut to resize, there's several shortcuts. The most common that people are aware of are the bracket keys to the right of your P key in your keyboard. Bracket to the right makes it bigger. Bracket to the left makes it smaller, right? Bigger, smaller. The new way of doing it is the Alt right click drag. You get that smooth resizing. Alt right click and then down for hard, up for soft. Down for hard, up for soft. Now, that's the feather. That's correct. That's the feather. That you learn in the intermediate Photoshop class, day 1. Now, I have my shortcut of my brush attached to the top button on my Wacom pen. So all I need to do down is hold down the top button of my Wacom pen and drag it, and it's all right there. So you can kind of like look at that all day long.
That's your right click, there, correct? Top
That my top button is my right Alt
right alt click. Okay.
click. Okay. So we're going to add some lens flare here because the sun's kind of coming out right around the corner back here. So we're going to add a brand new layer. And this layer, we're going to give it a different blend mode. I'm going to give it overlay. In addition, we're going to change the foreground color to something like a nice yellowish, something like that. Yeah. Get up to some pure color here. Okay. All right, sunlight's kind of gonna be peeking from way behind the fog, and maybe if I tap there, see that little, right? Something's happening here. Okay, so I'm gonna undo that real quick because I want to make it bigger, make it softer. Just doop. I think I may want that sunlight happening behind the ship. I can take that off the ship. It doesn't matter. I can use my brush to take it off the ship. So I'll leave the ship alone as it is. Make it smaller. Tap, tap. Really, really bring that little highlight coming from the corner up there. A little bit too much. I might want to just bring it to here. Bring it right along the edge of this. I know it's just a matter of, see, what am I doing? Oh, you know what? That's what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm gonna do this over again, guys. I'll tell you why, because I'm using the wrong brush. I'm using the cloud brush. I don't want the cloud brush. I want just a regular circular brush. So I have to go to the cloud brush here, bring up fourth icon from the left, bring up the properties so I can change it. I'm gonna take off the scattering. I'm going to take off the shape dynamics and just stick with this. And then I'm going to save this brush because if I don't, I'll lose it. So I'm going to select the hamburger menu. You watching this? So I'm going to grab the hamburger menu and say new brush preset. Call it whatever you want. I'm going to leave it the same. But if you click OK, it's always right click. It's always the last brush right there. So now I've got a lens flare brush I can control. The other brush was scattering stuff everywhere. That's not what I wanted to do. So I will make this a little bit larger, like this, nice and soft. We'll try one little tap and see what we get. Tap. There we go. That's subtle. It's subtle. It's going to start coming from the background. And I want it to be more concentrated right back here. So I'll do it again, but keep it concentrated back there. See, now it's starting to brighten up there, make it more concentrated. Boom, right there. All right, it's highlight. I'm gonna take it off the ship later, but I can also take it and just, so I have to be careful now because it's so sensitive. Photoshop's so sensitive. I may have to bring my opacity down, even with my Wacom pen, down to something like 25, just so I can. Yeah,
Sorry, one more question.
yeah, no worries.
Would it be easier to do that with some sort of like a linear gradient?
Okay, so the question is, wouldn't it be easier to do this with a linear gradient? But what creative control do I have? All right, I'm eyeing this. You could, but no, I like to teach students from the standpoint of working like a painter. Our craft, photography, comes from the master painters. So if I just tap a little bit there, see, look at that. It's starting to warm up that edge there. I've got control. I can tell it where, and if I want a little more back up here to really, brighten up that lens flare area, we can do it. Probably should have a little more of the flare on the water, so I'm going to just a light tap and zip right across, something like this. I'm going to take it off that ship. So what I need to do is just give a mask to the lens flare layer, get in close to the ship, because the flare is coming from behind. No, maybe not. Let me see what it looks like. We'll see what it looks like. Paint with black and take it off. See? Maybe we'll get a little bit of it around there. Another technique is to make one more layer, and this time keep the same color. Do another a lens flare layer, but this time change it to something like, I'm gonna try color dodge. Let's see what happens. And I'm gonna take it back up to 100%. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it really starts to pop up the heat back there. So it's all a matter of, and I can take that layer and bring down the opacity. And if I want to take that layer, give it a layer mask as well, I can pull some of that off of the ship if I so choose. Okay. You also have the option of messing with the opacity of each individual rock, right? So if I go the opacity, drop it down, see? I can mess with more of the subtlety. If I want to choose a particular a layer, control left click, it'll jump to that layer. I want this one here, I think. Yeah, I already did that one. Do this one. That one there. Go to my opacity settings and play with that a little bit. Now it starts to fade it in with the fog a little bit more. Go to this rock here, the one in the front. All right. If we play with the opacity, see? Um, this fog needs to be a lot larger in stature in the front here because honoring the rules of perspective. So right click, go back to my fog brush here, and let's go to D key, makes it black and white. X key switches it, make sure I'm in white. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more layer on top. That layer is going to be a lighten blend mode, and bring in some more of that fog coming up this way. There we go. Okay. Well, how's that look so far?
You're not really seeing the ship.
What was that?
The ship is not, seems to be like
Too far,
too far,
too far in?
too small.
You want the ship bigger? The client's not happy? All right, client's not happy. So the client's not happy.
It's like it's being drowned out with the fall.
All right. So the client's
To be eaten by a sea serpent.
or a dragon. So let's
Say
so
the dragon was in the
all right. You well that
I'm just joking.
we've got options to play with. Let's fix it. All right. The client's not happy. Bring the ship to the top. All right. Control T is a smart object. Make it larger. How large? You tell me.
A little less.
Right there.
That's probably
Okay. So I'm gonna place the ship right about there. Okay. And I want the ship. I want the ship down I want it above, on top of everything. Okay, here we go. So then at this point, we could do what? To make it look like it's fading with the fog and it's way in the back, we have to do that. We can bring down the opacity of the ship like this. And if we want that low level fog to look like it's coming up over the ship, we can go to give the ship a mask, hit the B key for the brush, choose the right brush, which we have right there, right? And let's fill in the screen with this. And now that we have the right brush selected, I can paint with black. And
What about adding a reflection in the water?
excellent. I like your idea. Let's do it.
Is the layer style tab and the opacity on this one the same?
Okay, say that again.
You know, before when you're just doing the rocks, you change the opacity on the layer style.
That's correctly. I did change it on the layer styles. I did it on a layer. I changed the opacity on the layers themselves. So for example, if I look at this layer here, it's 84%. It's not 100%.
When you're doing it before, then you go to like the layers.
Well, the layer styles are here. We'll go to one of the layer styles, and let's see. Let's go find one to the color overlay. All right. What we did was we adjust the opacity of the fog on each of the rocks of the haze. This is the yeah, that's different from the other opacity. This is controlling the opacity of the white fog over the layer, while the layer opacity is controlling the opacity for the entire layer. So it's two ways to control it. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. The ship itself could be warmed up a little bit because the highlights all around it are all very warm, while the ship itself is it's kind of cold. It's blue. So that's easy to do. So targeting the ship, I thought I made it a smart object, but I didn't. I'm not going to worry about it right now. We'll just give this an adjustment layer to keep it non-destructive. Give it a curves adjustment layer. Okay. Pull this on up so it's easier to see. And I'm going to tell this curves to only work on the ship. That's it. Hold the Alt key down, place your cursor between the two layers, and left tap. Now that adjustment is only going to affect the ship, nothing else. So what I want to do is add yellow to this. Curves is often used for controlling contrast. It's a contrast controlling mechanism, but it's also a a color balance mechanism. So if we drop it down and go to blue, to pull the blue out, you're going to get more yellow. There we go. Go to the red, add a little bit of red in to give it a little bit more of an orange, like that. Now it's starting to balance out to the whole scene. Control 0 pops the whole thing to view. F key, there we go. I think that ship is too big.
Too close to the rock.
All right. Now it's too close to the rock. They have, but but the reason it's too close to the rock is it's too big. Trust me, I've fired client. Well, that's making it bigger, right? If we're gonna make, if it's gonna look like it's forward, it's got to be bigger,
Okay, makes sense.
right? So, in other words, we go back and get our layers just to prove my point. Let's go get the ship. There's the ship right there. Um, Here, I'm going to make this a smart object since we're going to be playing around with this here. All right, so we want it forward more. All right, we're going to make it bigger. It's coming forward. And we could. If we want to look like it's coming around the bend and it's way in the back, then we've got to, oops, what did I do? There we go. We've got to bring it down smaller. Get it away from the side, bring it out a little bit to the left. Ah.
It might need a little bit more fog wrapping around the edges.
Exactly, because it's further back here in the higher density fog area, it's got to reflect that. If we make it if we make it large and make it look like it's coming forward, then it can stay the way it is. So that basically means we could just go to the opacity and just bring it down like this, right?
Does that last mountain, is that too blended out? You can see the yellow on it, but it doesn't look.
That's just up to what you're trying to do. It doesn't have to be. We can bring it back. So you got to make the client happy so you can get paid. And I know they've been talking about how to get paid at this seminar.
And just fire the client.
I've done that before. That's all I have to teach you today. Yes.
Could you do what she asked earlier with the reflection of the water?
Oh, that's right. Thank you for reminding me. My fault.
All
right.
It's something I struggle
So you want a reflection? Okay. I think the best way for this to work is I want to add a little bit, just a little bit more fog in the foreground. So you'll see why in just a moment. So let me go and let's see, go grab that ship. Now I'll just go right over here. I'll go to that top layer. All right. B key for the brush. And I just want to add just a little bit more right down in here. You'll see why in just a minute. All right. Let's do reflection. Crop. Pull it down. Okay. We're going to take the selection tool to tell Photoshop where to put the reflection. Then I'm going to come back to my window, go back and get my contextual taskbar, generative fill, and we're going to say reflection in lake. Hmm? Oh. And we sit back and we relax and see what Photoshop gives us. You already hate it.
It's AI, it's not,
Okay. I can show you how to do it non-AI too. See, yeah, I say I already hate it. Right? I already hate it. We can do it non-AI too. We'll go back. We'll do non-AI. So basically what you do is this. Select that whole top section. Control Shift C. Adding the shift to Control C. Control C is copy. Adding the shift to it means copy all visible. Control V, paste it in there. Go to my Move tool. Maybe what I'll do is I'll go ahead and make this a smart object. All right, so there's my new one right there. Okay. Now I'm going to come up here to Command T, hold the Shift key down and grab that and pull this underneath like so. There's your reflection. I can probably pull it out a little bit more like that. You might want to add a little bit of density to your reflection, so Command M or come over here to Image Adjustment Levels. Not levels, I meant curves. Okay? And I might want to bring down the something like this. For your reflection. Let me see, I'm going to bring it up a little bit, and then I'm going to take a nice soft edge brush, give it a mask, soft edge brush, right click, go get that new one that I made. Let's see if I can, I'm going to have to actually overlap them just a little bit better. So here, give them a little more of an overlap. Okay, make sure this is, let's see what I can do here. There we go. Make the brush a little smaller just so I can kind of get rid of that hard edge. There we go. Okay. C key for the crop tool, crop it on up to here. There you go. For lack of a better, if I had more time, I would do a much better job at it. So it's mirroring, but let's go down to here. Let's go back up.
Steve?
Yes.
So if you want to, so that reflection is like if I'm looking straight on. If I wanted it to be like it as capturing the reflection, wouldn't I want to like skew the reflection like going that way or something?
Yeah, depending on the perspective you're at.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the boat should be under the boat and the rocks makes most sense.
Yeah. The fog. Yeah. It's yeah. We can move that on up.
We get the idea.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be more, or
Or you could crop, cut there.
That's what I'm talking about.
get this right in here and kind of get it right. Gonna pull it on out. Something like that. Push this in. Something like that. All right, and of course you're gonna have to use your brush to kind of. There you go. Pull it on out. And that's why I like to use the brush as opposed to just the gradient, because you can kind of control. And since this is going to be 90-degree corners, like a photograph, oops. All right, I'm going to do something like this. Oh, we're going to have to, get the bottom right, but you guys get the point.
Thank you.
So you got to get that. If you're going to get real anal about it, yeah, I'm going to disconnect the mask so I can just mess with the bottom. So here, and then just holding the control key, or even just there we go, right there. That's what you want. So maybe grab this end, and then over here, take this point and probably just push that point back. Or better yet, here, do this. Edit menu, transform. Edit menu, transform, warp. And then come and grab that there. Get something as close as you can. There you go. That did it. Is the client happy?
Is that the point where you would like paint on a water texture over the top of the reflection?
Yeah, I would. Control 0. There we go. All right, so tomorrow's our last day together, 10 a.m. sharp. Special 2-hour presentation on the introduction to Photoshop. For those of you who've never had a Photoshop class. So all of these classes are being recorded. If you want the recording, give me your name, your email address right here. If for those new who came in.
I feel ready.
Yeah.
I need to try and travel a month ago now when I did this,
Yeah, that's great.
but I would have made it better, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The colors on the boat, all that stuff, like, thank you.
Well,
I
that's
can't
great.
redo this, but,
Yeah.
I needed that information a month ago.
Yeah.
Thank you. See all the fog here,
Yeah.
behind, drawn kind of thing,
That's great.
Hiding the fact that he's wearing jeans, she didn't have the right outfit,
Right.
It's all good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, you're most welcome. My pleasure. Hi. Yeah. I'll wait on a second. See you later.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. You're most welcome. All right. We'll see you soon. All right. All right. Give me a hot second, and I will.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. All right. This is it's an Alienware. It is Alienware. There we go. That's what I want. That's it. And